So recently I've been doing this really wonderful thing where I've been going to the library a lot more often. And not just going to the library more often, but looking in areas of the library that I hadn't really gone to before. Previously I would often just go to the fiction section or look at the display shelves, but now I've been really exploring it and going into all the nooks and crannies. And something that's developed out of that is that I've started borrowing art and photography books that I never would normally buy. I think these generally are called coffee table books. And I would never really buy these books because they tend to be quite expensive because of the materials needed to produce them. But then I feel like they have a low rereading value in that once you've looked through it a few times, that's kind of it. So being able to borrow these from the library has been a revelation for me, because I do enjoy art and photography and I would love to look through these books, but I just was never willing to pay the money for them. This has been such a wonderful development in my relationship with the library, and this book, The Burbs, A Visual Journey Through the Australian Suburbs by Kim Walvisch, this has been a recent highlight. And growing up in southeast Melbourne suburbs, which is primarily what's represented, this book just felt so nostalgic. Not even nostalgia, like a present fondness. And it felt not necessarily specifically familiar, but a general familiarity on each page, which I think is the point. For me, it felt like home, to the point where I think a more apt title would be The Victorian Suburbs, because based on the number plates and the amount of milk bars there are in here, I think it is primarily Victorian suburbs. But that's what is home for me. I just loved seeing all of the different ways a house can be, the different colours, the different decades of style, the different moods, and of course the different gardens. I think this book represents what is being lost to what I call sardine houses. There are these suburbs that are being developed, and where every house is almost the same, and they're all being built at the same time, and they're being designed and built by developers, and there's almost no individuality in them. And because a lot of them get rented out, there's never going to be an owner that can make it individualized. And when I drive through these housing developments, they make me so sad. And this book is like the antithesis to that. I feel like this book really shows the dichotomy of the suburbs between the rundown, falling apart, and the immaculately cared for. Even sometimes within the same photo, within the same property, there'll be things that are really aged and worn down, and then there are things that someone has just put all their love into taking care of. Obviously, there's a lot of sentimentality in this book, but I also think it just presents the artwork, the craft involved in building houses, the angles, the shadows, the colours, the curves of building a house. It definitely made me look around my suburb where I live with a little bit more of an appreciative eye. I mean, I understand that this is basically a glorified Instagram feed, and in fact I think it started as an Instagram feed, but it's like a really excellently presented Instagram feed. There's no notifications, there's no distractions. You actually get to just sit with these photographs, and I did for a while. I just put on some music and I looked through, and it was just really pleasant. I actually really love the size. I think it's really cute and a lot more manageable to hold and look through than some of these really large coffee table books. So yeah, I've just been really enjoying borrowing these sorts of books from the library recently, and this has been a recent highlight that I wanted to share.